So I'm going to be talking about the second one, which talks about how to get a good rider and a loyal one for that matter. You know, it's very difficult if you don't get a good rider, because they are the ones holding your business. They make and unmake your business. So for me, luckily for me, I had good riders, or I had a good rider who didn't live so far away from me. I could equally take a walk to his place and check up on him. So yes, let's dive into it. So the first thing you need to do before you get a good rider, or a loyal one for that matter, is always ask them to provide you with a police certificate or a clearance certificate. So basically, it's a document that shows all your criminal records, that is if you have any. So this will inform you whether the person you're dealing with is good or is bad. So that is the first thing to do. Secondly, you need to ask the person if he or she has a valid motor rider's license. Usually they have license A for motorbikes, or he can have a license B, which covers both the motorbike and also for car. Next thing for you to notice, ask him how many years of how much of experience has he had working as a dispatch rider. So based on what he's going to tell you where he has worked, you can equally pick up various information that will inform you whether he's a good rider or not a good rider. And also, one thing about asking for history, where they've worked or their experience, is for you to be able to determine and also to know for what reason did they leave where they were working. Some reasons are very genuine, others are not so good, and those are the red flags you should look out for. Another thing worth mentioning is the fact that whenever they are signing a contract, always have a witness. Always insist that the rider brings a guarantor. I'll always advise that you as a business owner should always visit your riders, know where they stay, meet some key members of their family, have a discussion with them, sit with them and talk with them. Let them be part of the contract. When you're reading the terms and conditions, I'll let them be there. Let them sign as witnesses and as guarantors. And let them also know, in case of any emergency, they can rely on you and you can rely on them. And let them also guarantee you that yes, if anything happens, you can hold them responsible. In my case, yes, I paid a visit to the rider's parents. I met his brother. In fact, it was a big family house, so that was safety. I also asked him where he was going to keep the motorbike, which he showed me. I also did my background check of the environment in which he stays, whether it's a gated house or not. Reason why some of these things are important is because when you give the motorbike to the rider to work with it, sometimes you might be able to bring it to your house, so they'll take it home. So you have to make sure the bike is in an enclosed area or is in a secure location, just to prevent theft and any other thing. One thing that I will also advise you to do is that sometimes you might get riders that are close to you or live within your vicinity. It's advisable to have them always park the motorbike in your house after work. And I'm sure in the contract you're giving out to your riders, there's going to be a working time or a schedule that they follow. So for me, my riders used to work from 8 to 5. Sometimes as early as 7, and they close by 4. Why I advise you to let them park the motorbikes in your house is that you can see your own bike every single day. You know how your bike is faring. If there's any need for maintenance, you know how they are using the bike. That is the whole idea. It also helps you check the rider and keep the riders on their feet. Because when you give the motorbike to them to run it the way they want, they'll do whatever they want to do. Give the motorbikes to other people who work with it in the evening. In the day, they'll take the motorbike and they'll do your delivery for you whilst they are making money elsewhere. It's not bad for them to make money, but then this is your business and you want your business to stay longer so they can employ more people. So yes, always have them bring the bike to your house. But then, if the rider doesn't stay within your area or is not in your vicinity or closer to you, I'll always advise you, always get a tracker on your bike. Yes, it's expensive, but it's going to save you. You know, lately there's a lot of theft cases, people snatching bikes here and there, so it's always good to have a tracker on the bike. At any point in time, you can always track the bike. And one good thing about having a tracker on the bike is that you're able to tell customers how near or how far away your rider is from them. And some trackers also allow you to ping the number, and it generates the location via text message, even if you don't have data. So that's one good thing about having a tracker. Another thing I would advise you to do is you need to let them sign a contract, and before they sign a contract, always explain the terms and conditions in the contract to them. If it's going to be in English, explain to them in English. If you don't understand English, get someone to interpret in their native Ghanaian languages so they can understand what they are getting into and what you're offering them. Okay, because there are times whereby you sign a contract with somebody and later on they tell you they didn't expect the amount of money to be paid to them, or they didn't agree to what is you're giving them currently. So just to avoid all that, let them understand the nature of the business before they enter into it. And the contract is a legal binding document and can anytime take it them on. Okay, so guys, as part of the terms and conditions that you are reading out to the rider, it's always good to also provide the rider with everything possible, all the working tools needed to make the job successful. Reason being that sometimes you don't provide the rider with everything they need, from helmet to boot to body coat and shin guards. It goes a long way to affect your business, because the police will arrest them if they don't have this protective clothing, nose masks and other stuffs. And these things are just going to delay your time. You have to pay the police to release them. Sometimes your motorbikes will end up in the police station for long hours. So there was an instance whereby my rider wasn't wearing nose masks. Nose masks, my guys, nose masks. Anyway, so we had to speak to the police officer, plead with him for hours. The guy has been standing there. Finally, we had to do something. We had to do what we do. We had to do what we had to do to let the rider move on with his life. So guys, always make sure your rider has everything he or she needs to work, from helmet to sunglasses to nose masks to the body coat to knee caps and shoulder caps to boots. Please provide them with everything. One thing is that courier business is also very risky. So it's always good to also think about the riders. In as much as you're thinking about your money, you have to think about their life as well. So you need to make everything possible for them. Another thing is that you should always insure your riders. Insure them. In case of any emergency, you can rely on that insurance. So in my case, my motorbike, my rider had an accident. He was coming back one evening and he collided into a pedestrian on the road. We relied on the insurance to pay and offset some of the medical bills. So guys, don't be deceived. If you want to do something, always do it right. Do the comprehensive insurance and be safe. Just do it. It's just a one-time payment and you're safe. We did ours with Enterprise, and I want to say Enterprise is very good. It's one of the insurance companies that we use, and I'll recommend that to anybody. There are other good ones in the country, but personally that's what I've used and that's what has worked for me, because the ease of taking claims was much stress-free. And kudos to the Enterprise team. Thank you so much for helping us when we needed you. So guys, always going for a comprehensive insurance and make sure your riders are mentally healthy, they are physically healthy. Okay, so the next point worth mentioning or talking about is the fact that, do you want to use a young rider or a much older, not too old, older person as a rider? For me personally, I advise you to go in for, let's say, someone who is a family person. So usually there's always a responsibility on that person, and they are more responsible or more careful in that when there's any issue, you can always go to them or go to their family. And because they are family people, they tend to work more responsibly. They tend to take their business like it's their own, because that is their source of livelihood. And if it's gone, then their families are going to suffer. But when you take young guys, you know, most of these young guys are filled with youthful exuberance and they want to do everything so fast, and they have no sense of, not all of them, but some of them have no sense of responsibility. Some of them are just doing the dispatch rider because there are no jobs and they just want to do it. And people like this usually they'll run your business for some time, and they'll equally be making money on you, and with time they'll move on to set up their own business. And because they are young people, it's hard for you to track young people because they are very smart. But with older people, because they have families to take care of, they are more dedicated towards their work, and they are people who might also take your business further. And because of their age and, let's say, long experience, they are also people who can guide your business and suggest various ideas to you to make your business grow. So for me, I'll go in for an older person, someone between the ages of, let's say, 28, 30, 35, maximum 35. Yeah. But if you get someone who is in the age bracket of 40 and is still active, why not? The only thing about working with such people is that you need to be polite, you need to be more patient, because you know our culture, you can't disrespect an elderly person. Though they are quite slow, but then they get the work done. And one thing about using older people is that it's hard for the police to stop them, because they see them to be more responsible, more mature. So the instance of stopping them on the road is quite less compared to young people, you know. Another thing is you should also encourage them to do regular checkups. And in as much as they are riders, they are workers, try to have convos with them. So when they come back with a motorbike at 5 o'clock, try and sit them down. Whilst you're taking your money for the day, try and ask them how their day was, any challenges. You know, one thing about human being is that we feel wanted and we feel appreciated when people talk to us, when they ask us about our content. It's one thing trying to connect with people. So always have a good convo with them, have good interaction with them, be open, treat them as family, and trust me, your riders will always be loyal. And another thing you could do for your riders is that you could equally surprise them on their birthdays. You could have a small gift for them. You could equally sometimes you could, if they are very good, if they work for you for a number of years and they are very dedicated, why not? You could equally step in and assist their family in terms of maybe financial needs. That is, if you can. These are things that make people indebted to you, and because of that, they'll feel the usefulness to build your business. So yes, these are some of the ways to get a loyal rider, and these are some of the ways to maintain one for that matter. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comment section. I'll respond ASAP. Thank you. The name is COURIER.